The theme for today is going to be balance. And I get a lot of questions about balance and tango. And so I thought I would do a little lesson of some exercises that you can do to help you find your axis, which means that you will understand how to balance in the moment. Because, as we know, tango is something of a meditation in motion, right? Like balancing in tango is not really achieved by just getting a perfect posture and holding it the whole time. In tango, you're going to have to adapt constantly and change something about your posture, something about your movement to remain balanced. So today, we'll just run through a quick little exercise, and you don't really need anything. You can be seated for the first part, but and I'm going to start looking at the camera now, but I'll keep an eye on the chat. Those of you joining, if you have any comments, please feel free to pop them in the chat, and I'll keep up with it. But I'll start looking this way so that it's a little bit makes more sense. But some of you know I really love metaphors, and I wanted to start by giving you sort of a creative image to work with when you're thinking about your posture, when you're thinking about your balance. So I have this plant here. This is my pride and joy. And this plant, if you notice the way it's growing in like a little spiralic kind of way, like an S shape. And what's interesting about this plant is that I had it for a long time, and it did not have this pole, and it was just kind of, you know, it was alive, I would say, but it didn't stand up and it couldn't really grow until I put in this rod. And once I put in this rod, plant took off. It started growing and continues growing, so I have to keep attaching it. And I thought that's a great metaphor for when we're working with the spine and our own posture. That what we need to understand is that we need support internally that can allow us to move and remain balanced. So I want you to kind of have this in mind as we work through these next exercises. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this. I'm going to move a little bit away from the camera so that you can see me. Maybe here. And you can remain seated for this portion. I'm sitting a little bit higher, but you can sit in a regular chair. And hopefully I'm not being too blown out by the light here. Maybe I'll move a little bit away from the window so that I'm not so bright. There we go. Okay, so when you're sitting down in a chair, I want you to observe a couple of things here. One is that you can really balance on your sit bones when you sit on the chair, so you don't want to be sitting towards the back. And then we're going to just experience the different ways that the spine can move. So from here, when you're sitting on the sit bones, I want you to imagine that your pelvis is a bowl, and you're just going to spill the bowl forward and then tilt the bowl back. And we'll just go through a couple of these movements together. This is also nice to undo some stress from dancing really late at night, speaking for myself here. And then we're going to do the same once you come back to sit bones. We're going to do the same from your chest and your rib area. So from this area here now, keeping the sit bones where they are, bring the chest forward and bring the chest back. Bring the chest forward and bring the chest back. So that's the number 2 area where we can bend and move the spine. And then back. So a couple of times, just lift and release the head and feel this possibility. Great. Now, as you are on your sit bones on the chair now, back in neutral spine, I want you to imagine this clear rod of energy going through the center of your space, through the center of your body. And imagine that all of your muscles around the spine are focused on hugging around this line evenly. So it's not being pushed any way. And as you keep this awareness, we're going to now translate that into standing. So I want you to stand up off your chair. And as you stand, we're going to test our balance by doing a couple of things to challenge our muscles to retain the alignment of the axis vertically. And again, for this, I'm going to have to move away from the camera so that you can see me. So if you have anything to say, you can pop it in the chat and we'll look at it later. So while you're standing with your feet hips width apart, I want you to soften the knees. And the knees are always the first thing you want to check when working with balance. You don't want to end up with your knees locked. So softening the knees. And then from here, we're going to lift up the heels off the ground just a little bit. And you might be wobbling a little bit here. Allow your ankles and your knees adjust. And as you're doing this here already, I want you to imagine you have that rod going through the center line of your body, and all of the muscles are wrapping around that rod, going up and protecting the balance. All right, now from here, we're going to lift the arms for a moment and challenge the balance a little bit. And as you're holding this position, we're going to do something very simple. You're just going to turn your head to the right and turn your head to the left. And do that a couple of more times and notice that you're going to have to be doing some adjustments in your feet, in your knees. You might wobble a little bit. Maybe you even lose your balance for a minute. And that's okay. That's the point of this exercise, is to challenge our system to adapt. Let's come down for a second. So that was level 1 challenge. And again, you can play with this challenge in different ways. You can close your eyes, which we're not going to do right now, but sometimes that's an interesting way of working with balance. Okay, now we're going to go back up, holding here. And now from here, I want you to bend your knees and begin to sit down as if you have this idea you're going to sit to your heels. But we're not going to go very low. Imagine there's like a little stool that you're sitting on. And then really feeling that you're still hugging around your midline, you're still hugging around that axis. Instead of just turning the head, we're going to twist our upper body to the right, come back to center, and twist it to the left. Come back to center. Let's do that one more time. We're going to twist to the right, come back to center, and twist left. Come back to center, and release. Good. So if you are doing this the way I am, and you're watching me, you might have noticed that throughout the movement there, my lower legs were shaking a little bit. There was a little bit of wobble. And that's what you're kind of wanting. You're wanting for the lower part of the body to handle the adjustment for the balance while your upper body stays very relaxed and centered. Last part of the exercise, we're going to once again go up. And this one's going to be the more challenging one. I will warn you now. So let's have you just pause off the ground. Find that image of the line going through the center of your body. And now we're going to allow the head to look down. And just this action here, you might feel that your body's starting to come forward. So you want to engage and realign in a way that you can keep the balance. And then if you can, with your heels off the ground, begin to roll yourself forward even more. Imagine that you're wrapping yourself on this line that's running through your body. And maybe you just go down this much, maybe you go down a little bit lower. Keep adjusting in your feet, your heels are off the ground, your knees, your ankles, everything's very soft. Then, as low as you got to whatever level, then you're going to push into the ground and unroll yourself slowly to come back up. And then release. So, this little exercise of going from the position where you're already slightly being challenged on your balance, you're staying on the ball of the foot, and then positioning your such a way that you have to readjust that alignment, whether it's looking side to side or actually twisting while remaining on the ball mount or rolling forward, is a great way to challenge your nervous system and build that adaptation quality in your dance so that when you're having to do it in the moment, you're dancing, when you maybe step too far or you did something where the alignment is not perfect, so you're having to sort of adapt and change something in your dance, that it can happen in these small ways and you're sort of ready for it. So that's a little experience for you to think about your balance. And one thing that I wanted to also kind of link up, when we were on the chair going through these movements of bending and moving the spine, you most of the time, if you're dancing and you start losing balance, it's because one of these points along the spine is straying away from that central axis. So I'll show you just as a little demo here. Sorry, I have to figure out my setup for this. So let's say here, when I'm on my ball mount, right, my heels are off the ground, I want to keep my knees a little softer. And that's important because notice if I'm on my ball mount and I lock my knees, then up top gets really wobbly, right? So if I keep my knees soft, then the top can be quiet and the adjustment can be in the knees. So when I'm in this position here, if I go through and move one of these 3 points along the spine, whether it's the pelvis, my chest, rib area, or my head, my balance will be affected. So if I stand here and I don't do anything except I let my pelvis come forward a little bit, it will push me forward. And even notice here, if I tuck my pelvis too much, it will also push me forward. Same thing if I'm here and I allow the head to come forward in front of me, which is something we can do as leaders a lot of times. I see how it automatically carries my weight forward. So if you can have this image when you dance, like the plant that I showed in the beginning, and you have this central line that you're wrapping around all the time, and your goal when you're moving around your partner and twisting is to really twist around the central line rather than trying to exaggerate the movement in any particular direction. So that's what I have to share with you today. Now, I'm going to be doing a live version of this series every month, once a month. And next time, hopefully, it's going to go a lot smoother. But if you have any specific topics or questions you want me to cover, let me know. You can post it in the comments or you can reach out to me on social media at I'm So Tango and share those with me. The next one will be next month, and I will post that and update you when I have that scheduled. All right. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time.